I just thought I'd do this while here. Do it on YouTube. I'm prepping postcards for a bigger swap with Postcrossing Philippknes. And since I'm going to do it anyway, I said, why not try to do it while we are actually here. So hold on, I'm trying to get set up. So that's the postcard that I am going to actually be sending off. Okay, let's just adjust the camera. Okay, you can see my dining table. Okay, there you go. See, did that adjust? So I have a couple of new stamps. I ordered the Roy, okay, I might murder the name, Liechtenstein stamps. And these are really beautiful. I even ordered the postcards, which I will turn into maxi cards. So here's the actual stamps that we found. I'm also sorry that my lighting is a bit bad, but trying to make the most of the setup. So you can see the arm of my phone holder on one side. Okay, in the background is original music that I use for my podcasts and my other live streams. So this I really love, the Tommy De Paula commemorative stamp. He's a very popular children's book illustrator, apparently, who has passed. And to pay tribute to him, they made these stamps. Aren't they beautiful? So I'm supposed to prepare around, I think, if I'm not mistaken, 17 postcards. But, of course, I'm doing extras for some friends. So I have my stamps here ready. So right now, we're at $1.45 for international postage. And then we're supposed to see that go up to $1.50 after July 9, I think, which is not good news for us postcard traders. So this is the stamp I'm using. I'm sorry, the postcard I'm using. The photograph is not originally mine. I bought this from a friend, but the problem was the printer made a mistake on the postcard size. So to remedy that, and I don't want it getting lost in the postal sorting, I put it on top of a postcard-sized cardstock, and then I put something in the back, and this is where I'm going to put the postage stamp and do the actual write-up. I'm going to write the credits here, and the photo is actually by, hold a sec, Kaleb Veloso. So this is a photo by Kaleb Veloso. I will acknowledge him in the credits. So through the previous months, I really have accumulated a lot of postage stamps. So what I want to do is I'm going to use one of either the Tommy De Paula, I'm sorry, or the Royal Liechtenstein stamps on each, and then I will use a second different stamp. I have the Love, which is both of last year's and this year. So I have the Love cats. There you go. I also have the Love puppies. Oh, that's the Love puppies. I'm sorry. Cat and puppy, yeah. And I have the Love that was an artwork. We're going to need 19 cents extra, but I'm going to use 10 cents as the additional postage stamp. Then I also prepared my stickers to use. So let's put this aside. So many things here. I am trying to watch the live on another phone. So of course we have our Postcrossing Philippknes seals that I made. So it's going to be the cover of the live actually. So it says Postcrossing Philippines Postal Swap. But what I want to do, and then I created I printed some airmail stamps. And in addition, hold on, music stopped. And in addition, I wanted to put some nice, what you call this, nice tidings or cheerful tidings. So I'm using this, which is 2 versions of Do What Makes You Happy. Stamps make me happy, so I am doing this. So let's get started. So I am a postcard collector. I've been collecting for over 40 years now. I turned 57, and I think I started collecting when I was 14 or 15. So yes, over 40 years. Like I said, we're going to do one of the Roy. I like doing it upside down because then I can see the edges, so I can see where it's actually landing. And then we're going to do one love, the Roy, the love. And then I'm going to put the 20 cents on one side. Okay. Can you see what I'm doing? Yep. So like I said, I like to do it upside down so I see this one. That's the edge of the postcard. So that actually makes it easier. If I see the edge of the postcard, like so, and then it doesn't go all over the place. Although, you know, that's part of the joy of preparing. So what we're going to do right now is just do the airmail stamp and the stamps. I'm not going to do the other stickers just yet. Maybe I'll do it in a bit. Maybe I'll do it now. We'll see. So the issue with, I had wanted to use these as sort of like the middle portion or the postage break. I mean postcard break. The divider. But I want to do it after I had written the addresses. I do have the addresses. It's just that I want to be able to fix this first. So we're going to do target 15. We'll do 20 of the international. Okay, so this is Roy. So we're going to put this here. Can it be seen? There you go. And we'll put the stamps over here. So this is going to take a bit. So this one I also tried. This is another airmail stamp, but I figure it's a little big. So it might not serve the purpose of providing space for addresses which are rather long. Although, I would be able to use this on, let's say, those with shorter addresses. Let's do these are very pretty stamps too. I didn't get the chance. I'm not really into maxi cards, but when I get the chance, I try to send them as maxi cards. It's not easy. We actually send it, pardon the actuallys, I'm trying to cut down on that. So we send it to a special post office which takes care of first day cancellations. The first 50 requested are free, and then you have to pay for the succeeding. They return it in a very nice format. They put it in plastic. I had a couple sent for the Year of the Rabbit, and everybody who got it was so happy and surprised because each one was wrapped. And then what I had done was I had put the rabbit print here, a rabbit stamp, and then at the back I completed it again with the same thing. What they did was they put or reprinted the address I had in front at the back. So there was an address here and an address here, which took a lot of effort, but we'll see. sideways. It took a lot of effort, and I must say a lot of love, and everybody who received them was a little surprised. And I said, what can I say? They really take their job seriously, and when you say postal love, they really send postal love on. So this is a postal themed swap. The photo in front of the postcard is the old Manila Central Post Office, which was gutted down by fire very, very recently. So there's still a lot of pain and sadness over what happened. That was an icon that was built pre-war and had been a casualty of World War II, and it was rebuilt. I think I heard somewhere that that was the second time that was rebuilt. I might be wrong, but it has withstood the test of time, the test of administrations going in and out and leaving, and it's part of Philippine history. And to see it gutted like what happened was a very, very emotional thing for a lot of people, me included. When did I last see it? We had a sort of informal meetup when I went home in November, and although I didn't go to the Central Post Office, I went nearby to the Manila City Hall, so I did see it. And it's a very imposing structure, as you can see. It's by the Pasig. I know this is the Pasig River, right? I might be wrong, but this is a view from the water. So across from this it's still part of Manila. I had that upside down, sorry. And this is a very beautiful photo actually by Kaleb Veloso. So like I said, I'm going to credit him in the description, and I'm writing his name on the side. That's why it's flush left. So I'm part of this postcard group, which is Postcrossing Philippknes. And I've been a part of that group since 2012. I'm one of the moderators for some reason. Still not an admin. I guess it's not my decision to make. Those positions are actually appointed. And I had gotten back to postcard collecting during the pandemic. I've been very active organizing swaps, also doing a lot of random acts of kindness or giveaways, trying to encourage people to keep collecting. And it's something I really enjoy. So like just the act of putting these stamps is something that's not just therapeutic, it's a happy task for me. So I'm one of those people who still love writing letters. And postcards are an abbreviated way of sending out correspondence. When I was younger, travel wasn't as accessible as it is today. So for you to be able to travel, you had to have a lot of money, and it was not as easy. People were more conservative, and international borders were not exactly that welcoming. So I didn't really get to travel until I was, I'd say, in my 20s. And even before that, I had started collecting postcards because to me, postcard collecting, as I would tell other people, was my window to the world. And it allowed me to travel to places that I would otherwise not have seen or have any idea of. And at the time, we didn't have social media really. I remember when I first started doing international postcard trades, it was through a billboard, a message billboard. So it was sort of a rolling list, and people would sort of leave messages. There would be a thread. You'd leave a message and or submit your details, and the administrator would publish it. I think I might have printouts still of some of those address lists. So what was interesting was that was when I discovered lighthouses and maps. At first, before I came to the US, I collected anything and everything. And I've said this many times, and I say this to new collectors. Do not forget to collect or save copies or postcards that you send out. So I kept sending a lot of Philippine postcards from National Bookstore, which used to have dozens and dozens of designs. I mean, name it. There were view cards, there were artist cards, national costumes. There was even a very, very rare, now rare, Philippine map. So I only started collecting perhaps 2-3 years after I started sending them out. And by that time, some of the postcards had gone out of print, and that's what happened to most of those postcards now. They are just rare. It's very hard to come across older postcards, and you really have to seek them out in stores that somehow ended up with some extra pieces of those postcards, but then they'd be yellowed by now, or they're not the same quality. They're not crisp and brand new. And then around the, I'd say, late 90s to the early 2000s, they started producing this huge 5x7 postcards, which were good photography actually. And they were sold mostly by tourist shops and the hotels. And I continued to collect them every time I went home. Even those right now are a little scarce. They're not easy to find. And if you noticed, if you're a long-time collector like me, the landscape has changed. So for example, I still have postcards that said Rojas Boulevard, which is no longer really Rojas Boulevard. And I have postcards of Ayala, the Ayala Avenue or the Ayala Center in Makati, in different faces. So there are buildings which used to be there, which are no longer there. And that alone makes those postcards rare. So imagine, when I started sending them out, I said, well, they're Filipino postcards, they'll be there forever. And it turns out that that wasn't going to be the case. They weren't going to be there forever, really. So that's something you need to keep in mind, whether it's the 10-cent postcards here in New York that I usually would buy 100 of. So that's $10. Because even that supply has changed. So the landscape of Times Square, for example, is different. The quality of the postcards is also different. In recent years, I noticed that there's been a lot of photoshopping, but not very good quality. When I first arrived, they were using a lot of word art for the captions, which again wasn't actually very visually appealing, but then that is one era or one phase of postcard design. And a lot of people, hi Ruth, oh my goodness, Ruth, I'm just talking to myself here, wrapping the postcards for the postal swap. Ruth Jacob is one of my favorite artists. She renders postcards so beautifully. I am still hoping to commission a small piece of art eventually, because I don't know that I can afford a big piece from her. Thank you so much for stopping by. I'm gonna give you a jacket. There you go. So I was going to do this on Facebook, but I actually need a longer video for the watch hours on YouTube. So I've been monetized on my other channel. I have 3,300 subscribers. Yay. I've been monetized. I'm waiting for my first paycheck from YouTube, which I hope will arrive by the end of the month, because they pay out on the 21st, I heard. Aww, thank you, Ruth. So I was talking about the new stamps. I don't know how to pronounce the name properly, but I'm guessing it's Roy Lichtenstein, and we actually got his pop art stamps, and I also got the postcards for this. So I'm going to produce maxi cards out of that. And I've missed out on a lot of new issues of stamps because I haven't been sending, so I have a ton of extras. So I have Buzz Lightyear here actually, and then I found a couple of these love stamps. I also found my Shell Silver, I think I have a Shell Silverstein somewhere. I haven't gotten the skateboard. I'm not really a big fan of that design. And of course, I found a couple of Year of the Rabbit, which is a big deal. Oh, and I'm waiting for the design from Ruth Jacob for World Postcard Day. World Postcard Day, by the way, is on October 1st. And they're currently collecting entries for the World Postcard Day official postcard. I produce my own and I trade for those postcards from others. And what do you call this? Something's falling. What I do is I produce a limited number. Excuse me. The first year I produced 100, and then the second year 250. I don't really trade more than just a little over 100, because if you look at the tag price postage wise, that can be too prohibitive. So I try not to go overboard with the offers. Plus, it's a very tedious affair to do a lot of exchanges for World Postcard Day. You have to keep track. So I post offers on different postcard groups. I join swaps, and then I have to make a list of who I send out to. You have to send proof, and then you also have to keep track of what you've received, because you have to run after people who fail to make good on their promise to send you their postcard. So I actually do a spreadsheet for World Postcard Day. And it's through that I number the cards, and I sort of like just play it by ear from there. And then the messages need to be tagged as well. So I changed the nicknames on Messenger just to be sure that I keep track. So I'll do a separate video on that. It's really time consuming, and it's especially if you intend to trade on volume. If you're just going to trade 20 postcards or whatever, that's not going to be much. So that's going to be pretty easy. I really love this Tommy DePaulo stamp. So I've found a nice print of the stamp itself. So my only problem is that here you see USA Forever. Everywhere you find prints of stamps, the forever is actually canceled out. Or if there's a denomination, like let's say 10 cents or whatnot, that is canceled out, so that people cannot try to print the stamp and use it, sort of to prevent counterfeiting. So I did find a nice print, and then I saw that the cancellation is a long bar. So if this is the stamp, the cancellation is maybe this long, it's around 3 inches. So I figure if I do a square print or a, hold on, let me show you what I'm going to do. So I figured if I did a print of the stamp, let's say on this side, it's almost square, right? And then I put the actual stamp here, they can cancel on this portion. Wouldn't that be lovely? Of course, maxi cards, or maximum cards as they are called, have their own rules. I'm not a stickler for all those rules. I just love, love, love the stamp. So I'm so happy I got this. See? It's so pretty. Can you see? I'm not sure. I can't see my camera. There you go. I've also started to render videos of the postcards that I've been getting. And I've been rather slow doing it because I just don't shoot one angle. I try to show the different facets of the card. So for example, Ruth had so kindly gotten me a signed postcard of Marius Black, a Filipino artist who sells his prints and illustrations and also started making postcards. So I have a signed postcard from him because of Ruth, and I feature that. So if you go to the shorts of this account, Postcard Storyteller, you'll actually see them there. I have, I think, around 4 postcards. I have other videos ready to go, but I just haven't had the chance to edit it. You know, YouTubing is not just taking your phone out and taking a video. So there's some aesthetics to it. I mean, I just don't want to put it out that way. I want people to see, for example, I take shots of the stamps, and then if there's any special decor, and then I try to show the postcard and this stand, so full view, and then I try to show close-ups or details of the postcard. Those are the things that matter to a postcard collector. Like, for example, me, I really enjoy and I love collecting map and lighthouse postcards. So every little bit of detail, especially in map postcards, really get my attention. So I want to be able to share those things with other collectors as well. I don't do the series only because I'm afraid that if I started doing it, I'd go crazy trying to complete it. So whoever gets this postcard will have to forgive me because the stamp is upside down. And that happens. At least these stamps are not all over the place, because if when I used to do it the usual way I did with a postcard facing the other way around, or when I did it this way, the stamps would end up like in all directions. So this one works for me because I need to see the edges. That's how I actually see if my stamps are going down straight. So there's also another set of postcards that just got postcards and stamps actually that just got released today, and they're the waterfalls. I am about to put in my order. I will do the same. I will do maxi cards of those postcards, and then what I'm going to do is do a random act of kindness or a giveaway in the postcard group, and just maybe give 2, 3, or 4 away. When I do that, I enjoy knowing that somebody will be receiving something from me without the expectation of a return trade. And you know, holding a postcard like this in your hand and then reading about the person who sent it, or the fact that you actually won this or was chosen to receive this, That's a different kind of fulfillment. But it's something that you only really experience if you're a postcard collector. Um, I still enjoy getting letters, and occasionally I do. Um, there was a time I actually started collecting postcards because I joined a pen pal club called the International Youth Service, which of course is long gone because we're now all emailing. Um, because the one of the things we would send one another were postcards to show people, how it was in our respective countries, and not just postcard to postcard, but we would send them in envelopes, 3 at a time. And I remember it was such joy to get them. And then I had friends who had moved to the United States who would send them, and that was such a joy. I mean, there was even one friend who sent me one from Chicago, and he was talking to me about the clubs where you could, people danced all night. And it was a very lengthy story about his new life. He moved to the US after our freshman year in college. And I just felt so sad because after a couple of months, I heard that he had passed away, and nobody knew that he was sick. I didn't know he was sick. And, that makes that postcard I received from him even more special. Speaking of people who have passed away, in this group that I am a part of, I had gotten close to one particular postcard collector. I even met her in person maybe the first 2 years I was part of the group. At the time, she was battling cancer. So when I met her, her hair was starting to grow back. And when I started going back to postcard collecting, she was still, she messaged me. I was giving some postcards away, and then she had written me privately and had asked if I could send her a postcard. At the time, I knew that she was suffering a relapse, so she was no longer in remission, but I sort of was feeling optimistic that she would be able to conquer it because she did the first time. And she was also an artist, and she would sometimes just send me postcards even without me asking for a trade or us arranging for a trade. And her stories and write-ups were always very personal and warm. And I kept, I just kept exchanging postcards with her. And then there were calls for prayers, which of course we did. But unfortunately, this time around, there was no beating the big C, and she succumbed to it. And the strangest thing was, as I got back to postcard collecting, there was one of her old postcards which kept popping up. I mean, I always tried to put it aside because to me that was a special postcard. But it kept popping up. Like I would go through a leaf, maybe a stash of postcards that I got. It would be there. And this is, I have to say, I'm guilty of not pulling through or delivering on a promise I made to myself. I had wanted to write her son, and just, I wanted to return a postcard or two as memories of his mom. And I really should do that before the year is over. But it's not an easy thing to do because then you remember the person, remember the friend you were messaging, and you realize that person's gone. And I'll get to it. So that's one. I've met some very good friends among these people that are part of the postcard group. I mean, they're not all angels. I always say there are bad apples everywhere. But I try to look on the blessing of the friendship of those that actually share the hobby, are very good people, do not take advantage of those who try to make the hobby interesting, and who are not picky or who are always appreciative of being part of a group that trades in postcards. And I even met the son of one of the collectors we have, and he and I, although he's not into postcards, he started getting into postcards because his mother encouraged us to write him. And I started writing him. I almost met him in November, but my schedule got very tight. So what happened was we had to postpone, and my trip to the Philippines in March was even tighter because my mother suffered a fall. So I spent a lot of time next to her instead of going out. I really only saw a very select number of friends, like those people that I cannot not see if I were in the Philippines. And that's a very short list, really. I try to go home every year. So, except for the time during the pandemic, which was 2020 to 2021. So, my last trip was in August of 2019. So, I was supposed to go back in 2020, but because of the restrictions on all sites and, of course, COVID, I had to postpone, and I wasn't able to really go back until November of last year. So November 2022, finally, I went home. Of course, I bought postcards. I had a small meetup, and it was so heartwarming to meet a lot of the younger postcard collectors who I used to only exchange messages and postcards with. Very young. There's one who's a freshman in college. She's in the Ateneo. And then there was one who's about to become or is now a resident at Philippine General Hospital, so a doctor to be. And very, very old Kuya, Kuya Will, who I think I met him before I left the group sometime in 2013 or 2012. And when I returned, we were kindred spirits. We were both collectors, and that was something that brought us together. And we were also two of the older people in the group because there were a lot of young folks, very young even. And sometimes you really need to have an anchor, meaning just to keep your feet on the ground, right? So to me, he's my anchor in the group. He helps keep the peace. He knows what I mean. And I have learned a lot from him. And that's one thing I like about postcard collecting. We learn from each other without contradicting one another. In the past, I had actually left the group because there was a heated discussion about real photo postcards. I don't want to go back to it, but I just felt like, in my case, if what you say is something that I didn't know, I'd take that as something I learned. But it doesn't mean that just because you didn't know what I was trying to explain, it doesn't mean I'm wrong. So anyway, long story short, that turned me off and sort of made me leave the group. But the pandemic made us go back to a lot of things that we used to do, right? And because I guess people were suddenly shuttered from others, we started seeking connections again. So I have friends who've also left the hobby, but it was nice to see that a lot of them were still there. So now I try to welcome new postcard collectors. I offer them a postcard from New York. Not everybody responds though. I mean, it's very easy to just, when new members are welcomed, what I do is I always say, send me your name and address. I will send you a postcard. Just send it to me via private message. Nada. Which is okay. I mean, it's just that I know that if you receive a postcard like that and then there's no expectation of a trade, that is a gift that any collector would appreciate. So maybe they just don't know, or it's sort of like an alien concept, because most people who are into collecting know that usually there's a trade associated with it. Not always, I think. Okay, so we're running out of the love. I'm thinking, do I do title 9? I have title 9. Or do I do Buzz? I still have Buzz. Dash Shell. I was surprised actually that I have so much postcards still. I mean, postage stamps. I thought that I had sort of used them up. So, like I said, they're going to raise postage rates again, which is sad. And the funny thing is that this is currently international, so it's 63.63, so that's 126. Oy, I figured that out on my own. And because it was 145, I was supposed to add 19 cents. So there's an extra cent here, which is fine. So if they raise the postage to $1.50, this is actually going to go up, since it's a forever stamp, to 65. So 65.65 is $1.30. Then if you add the 10 cents, it's going to be $1.50. So it does pay to stock up on, whatchamacallit, forever stamps. So for those who don't know, we have what we call forever stamps. You buy them at the prevailing rate, but they will retain the value of first class. Okay, so before I continue with this, I think I have some US addresses I need to get ready for, so I'm not going to finish this. I think it's 48 currently. Anyway, so why don't we start decorating this last few? Let me just put this away. So this is what we had. Tommy, the Liechtenstein. Very pretty. Don't you agree? Very nice stamps. So no more. So we have our Postcrossing Philippknes. So the idea I wanted to do was to actually put the date and start the dedication here. So I would have wanted to put the Postcrossing Philippknes seal here. So I drew this. Full confession, I borrowed the graphic online and I drew on it. So that's how, can you see? So there. Oh, I have to put it center. There you go. So I'm going to have to wait to put the do what makes you happy another way, because I need to write the addresses first. Where are my seals? Of course, it's here somewhere. Personally, I prefer to receive more information about the person who's sending to me. So I like long stories, not just about the weather, You know, I like hearing about what's happening in your world. How's work? How are your kids? How's your boyfriend? How's the job? How's school? Things like that. I mean, nothing is boring because to me, you tell me about your world. That's sharing a part of you and a piece of you. And that gives me a window into how things are where you are, which is the point of correspondence, right? What I don't like is like sometimes, maybe it's happened around a dozen times, I get a postcard with nothing but my address on it. Not even a signature from the sender because I guess they forget. So when I mail out my postcards, I actually check individually to make sure that doesn't happen to me. Because that is so frustrating. And then you'd have to go back to the group and say, is this person, or who's this, or was this you who sent? And it just really kills the whole vibe. I mean, thank you for the postcard. Thank you for the stamp. I'm not a stamp collector, by the way. And it's just so empty. And I'd really love more context about, you know, like you chose this postcard because, what are you trying to do with the group now? I'm not so much into decorating. So like, for example, the only reason I'm putting the seal is to identify what swap this is. I'm going to put that do what makes you happy sticker only so I can denominate the postcard divider between the address and the body to make it easier for the sorter, especially those when it reaches the Philippines where most of my postcards are going to go. It will help the sorter see the address block. But otherwise, I really would rather not have all the decoration there. I mean, it's pretty. And I do appreciate it when people go out of their way or do their decorating. But to me, it's sort of like an excuse not to write much. And it would really be nice if you wrote more. Like, what would I write? So I'm going back to postcard training. I hope you like my postcard. I was home in March and I really miss the halo-halo, the bibingka. I miss my mom. I miss my siblings. And how I hope I can get more postcards. I actually have a ton of Philippine postcards. So if you're listening to this, you're in the US, you're looking for Philippine postcards, you want to get one, write me. I even produced my own Murillo map postcard. And I've been swapping that away and giving that away because I decided to print in volume because it was just cheaper. I do my printing here in the US. And hold on, are we out? Are we out of the seals? Ooh, does that mean I have 30? So, oops. Ooh, I don't like this. I'm missing seals. Okay, so if I don't find the other seals, I'm going to have to stop. Okay. So far, this is what we have. I have to finish this up. I ran out of cut Postcrossing Philippknes postal swab stickers. I do have the stickers here. I just need to cut them up. So I have the list. And then I'm waiting on... What am I waiting on? Not really waiting on anything. So let me just cut this up quickly so I can finish the unfinished ones. And apparently I can make it work. So here you go. So I use the transparent labels because they're easier to position, and you don't have to worry about how it lands. Yay! So let me just quickly count how many I have. Let's see. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. 2, 4, 6, 8. So I do have 28. And I think I have around 20 to send to. I have a few extras I will send out to friends, like I always do. I have to write Kaleb's name here. So I've been writing photo by Kaleb Veloso, just to pay tribute. I do also want to reproduce the vintage map, the vintage postcard I have of the post office. I just need to find it. I collect maps, lighthouses, both vintage and modern, in chrome and modern size. I collect vintage and modern Philippines, vintage and modern New York, vintage and modern Paris, and the places I've been to. And recently I started collecting linen large letter greetings from. These are doubles, which I will offer for sale in the ephemera group I'm part of on Facebook. So I have doubles, and sometimes I think I even have triples. So this is the greetings from Arkansas. My dream is to actually come up with greetings from the Philippines with my own rendition of the sites inside. Greetings from Atlantic City. Greetings from Tennessee. Greetings from Vincennes, Indiana. Vincennes. Greetings from Kansas. Greetings from Massachusetts. Oh, and these are the post office cards. So, see, this was the original size. I mean, it's usable. It's just that there's not a lot of postcard real estate there. Plus, like I said, the size makes me wary of sending it out because it might get eaten by the sorting machine and just get lost. So I don't want that to happen. Okay, something's falling here beneath me, which can't happen. Okay, I think I caught it. So thank you for joining me. I am done. Well, partly. So the task that's left next is to write the addresses, which I will do in the coming day or two. And then, of course, my story at the back. I have one last sticker to put, which is the do what makes you happy. And then they're off. My deadline for this is the 15th, so tomorrow's already the 14th. So how am I going to do this? Well, the first 17 are the required postcards. So that one will go out first. And the ones to friends are the extras. You will just have to wait and see. I might send it over the weekend. I also did a random act of kindness of a Connect the Dots numbered Grand Central postcard. I am thinking of my next random act of kindness in the group. I picked 5 winners for the last. I will do a video separately for that. And I hope you enjoyed watching. This is really content to get the watch hours in my channel. If you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe to Postcard Storyteller. My main channel is Pinay New Yorker, which talks about me as a Filipino in New York. This one is more about the postcards. And I hope you'll come and visit again. And if you're interested to trade postcards, have a postcard question or whatnot, please leave me a comment or send me an email at postcardmailbox@gmail.com. Contact information will be in the description of this video. So again, have a great week ahead. Have a great day. And thank you for watching.